I'm here with Lee Kashov. He came to Mongolia in 2001 and he purchased 3 apartments at 30,000 USD, realizing that excess of 40% of yield. From there, he founded Asia Pacific Investment Partners with his wife, Chen Truden, and ventured into real estate development. Looking forward, Lee recently brought Simon Dewhurst as a new CFO to guide the company to the public offering. Thank you for joining us, Lee.
Thank you.
Lee, you were arguably the first guy on the ground in UB getting involved in real estate. Mm-hmm. It kind of happened by accident. Tell me about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was based in Hong Kong for 8 years, and during the vacations that I had, I traveled around Asia and I went to many different countries. Mm-hmm. And Mongolia was just one of them that I had never been to. So I came up here for a 10-day vacation and looked around, and I felt that there was a lot of opportunity here. So I stayed for a while.
Great. You're no longer doing small scale of residential. Why did you move out of it and get into multi-unit development?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I'm just really following the market here in Mongolia. So we founded Mongolian Properties Real Estate Agency to help people find apartments. And as the market started expanding and people started getting money to buy their own apartments, we started doing small-scale developments and then moving to medium-scale developments. And now we've branched out into mixed-use developments, which include retail, hotel, and we're looking at doing office parks as well. So we'll be a fully integrated real estate company with our emphasis still on high-end real estate and luxury residential.
UB was designed for less than 500,000 people, and today it boasts nearly 1.2 million. As city expands to the west, who is moving there and what type of accommodations are being built?
Well, when we talk about moving to the west, we talk about moving towards the airport, and the northern part of the road to the airport actually has heating infrastructure. And there's a very new area that has also had the heating infrastructure built, and that's where they're moving a lot of the municipal government buildings to. And this should basically help with the congestion here in the capital city, in the center of the city. In addition to that, in the areas where there is no heating infrastructure, I think we're going to start to see commercial developments such as distributorships and office buildings and retail parks. Keeping in mind that they actually have to be built without hooking onto the central heating grid. So I think you're going to see residential on the northern side, and you're going to see commercial and retail on the southern side.
How is APIP capitalizing on this shift? Can you tell me about Nucht project?
The Nucht project really comes from our observations with the previous developments that we saw back in the Zaisan. There was a tremendous rush to build what was then considered to be luxury residential in that area, but it wasn't planned very well. And although there was about 99% residential built out there, there was no retail offerings or commercial buildings that were built to accommodate and supplement that development. I think when we start to look at the evolution of the Nucht Valley, which is based around the old socialist hotel that is in Nucht, that was used by the government officials during the socialist times. That area is really prospering right now, and there's a lot of new housing developments going up there. And I think, with the experience of Zaisan in our mind, we want to be the first to provide retail services for that development in the burgeoning suburbs around Nucht. So the Nucht village is going to be, you can call it a town center for that whole Yarmag and Nucht area. It's built with the environment in mind. It's built off the grid, so we're basically not hooked up to the heating of the city. It also takes into account there's a lot of wind out there, so it's an enclosed area. But there will be a lot of events out there. There'll be a lot of retail offerings, retail offices, office lofts. It's a perfect place for architectural firms and legal firms, as well as a lot of the new brands that are currently moving into Mongolia because retail purchasing is increasing. So we're very excited about it, and we're currently around 40% through our construction of that project, and we should be finished in about 9 to 12 months. And we expect that we will be sold out of that project by the end of this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the risk and what could go wrong with your strategy.
Well, I think with our overall strategy, we've built it up over the last 10 years to, based on mistakes that were made and risks that we perceived in the marketplace. If you want to talk about property development, hiring other people to do construction work for you has a lot of risks. You have a lot of raw materials procurement risk in the steel and the cement and the inside materials. You have currency risk. A lot of these risks that we've run into over the years, we've mitigated by vertically integrating. So we now have our own cement factory. It's the only cement factory in the capital city of Ulaanbaatar, so we've ensured that we have that raw material. We have built up our own construction company, and it is an excellent construction company. And we have some of the best engineers in the country working for us now, and we have completed many buildings now, so we have a lot of practical experience. But risks still remain. There's macroeconomic risk of commodity prices reducing, and then the overall GDP falling, and so the purchasing power becomes less. Currently, banks are not lending very much money into the economy, so probably the economy will be slowing down. There's some political risk because of the dynamic nature of the democracy here in Mongolia. But all in all, I think we're pretty comfortable with our strategy and the foundations that we've set up over the last 10 years.
With the majority of the premier downtown Olympic that project solved. With the majority of your premier downtown Olympic property sold, you are now focusing your eye on Oasis project. Talk to about this project.
Okay, well, the Oasis project is actually owned by one of our subsidiary companies called Asia Pacific Properties, which will soon start trading on the Mongolian Stock Exchange. This will be the first project of that company. It's based on a previous building that we did called the Temple Residence, which was very successful. It will only be around 12 stories. We should be able to complete it in about 12 to 14 months. And it's in the circus area, so it's in a very vibrant entertainment district of the city. And the first 3 floors will be retail, because it's in a retail district, and the remainder will be medium-sized apartments, priced to a medium price range of around 2,300 to 2,400 per square meter. So we've started taking reservations on that building, and again, we expect probably in the next 60 days that we should sell out the whole entire building. So yeah, it's a very exciting project. But we have more. We have currently about 5 projects on our plate at the moment, and next spring we will start our largest project to date, which is called the Park Place, which will be a mixed-use shopping mall, hotel, and luxury residential. Which should probably take us around 2 to 3 years to complete, but it's around 50,000 square meters. Also a very exciting project that we have.
Lee, as your main focus in real estate, what are your thoughts on the Mongolian current economic climate? Mongolia has heated up quite a bit. Is it overheated in your opinion?
Yeah, I would have to say that this past year there was a lot of liquidity in the market, and it was the best year that we have ever had, and currently signing sales contracts of approximately $10 million a month right now. And I think that this year's strong growth can actually be attributed to the previous year's special events that have happened. For example, there were many Mongolian exploration licenses listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. And many Mongolian licensed traders actually benefited and made large capital gains. In addition to that, the prices for coal and iron ore were pretty high. And so a lot of the people that are actually exporting these commodities made quite a lot of money. And also the lending, there was a lot of lending going on in the capital city here. And the economy was growing very fast. All of these factors combined to actually trickle into this year's property sales price.
Your operation is becoming vertically integrating. I'm especially interested in cement business. How was Central Asian cement conceived, and for that matter, MRT transportation too?
Yeah, well, actually, this goes back to the operating environment of 2007 when the economy was growing at 9.6% GDP growth. Because of the infrastructure in the city at that time, there was quite a lot of inflation going on, and the economy couldn't really handle that kind of growth. So we actually saw the cement price jump from around $55 per ton all the way up to around $90 per ton, which was one problem. But the worst problem was there was actually no available supply of cement. So in the middle of the construction of one of our buildings, we actually had to stop because we couldn't get enough cement for the construction. And when I was looking forward towards our development as a property developer, I realized this was going to be a significant problem for us. And one of the factories that we were continually asking for cement, we decided to have a discussion with them about simply purchasing their factory. And we eventually did purchase that factory in the beginning of 2008. And we've been operating it ever since. And it was probably one of the best investments we've ever made. Since that time, now the cement price is more like around 150 or 160 US dollars. So clearly the timing was right, and our instincts were correct as well. And we solved one of the major problems we had, which was cement supply. But we also created another pillar to our conglomerate, which is equally as profitable as our property development, or can be, hopefully, looking into the future. The transportation company was in fact a legacy business from a tourism company that we had many years ago called Mongolian Resorts. And as we became more industrial in nature, we decided to use our transportation vehicles to transport cement and construction materials and the many investors that we have coming into the country every year to take a look at opportunities in Mongolia. And so that has also helped us to vertically integrate and make sure that the production process of cement and the production process of building buildings gets done on time, and that the materials that we purchase either here in Mongolia or sometimes in China or sometimes in Italy, that the amount of materials we purchase actually makes it to our front door. And so it kind of safeguards that whole process.
You have some interesting land concession in the mining. Can you tell me about what you're doing on that front?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think as everybody knows by now, Mongolia is a very exciting country because of its mineral resources. And there are a lot of mineral resources around Mongolia, and it's been relatively unexplored. There's still maybe 30 or 40% of the area in Mongolia has been explored for minerals. And so taking a bit of a venture capital approach, over the last 6 or 7 years, we have evaluated over 300 exploration licenses, and we purchased 10. And those 10 we have explored over the last 5 or 6 years. And there were exploration licenses in our portfolio that did not have a lot of minerals in them, and so we basically gave them back to the government. Other ones where it was in a particular mineral we didn't feel we had the expertise in, so we either sold them or we injected them into companies on overseas stock exchanges. But what we're really excited about is that out of the 300 that we have evaluated and the 10 that we purchased, we have found a couple of licenses that are rich in minerals such as copper and gold. And the exploration of those sites continue on today. And we hope to actually get a mining license for one or two of those sites and bring it into production.
Great. You just brought on Simon Dewhurst to help you steer the company towards public listing in the future. What has Simon brought to API that was lacking?
Well, I think as a young entrepreneurial company, we've grown very fast over the last 10 years. And the loan markets here in Mongolia are not fantastic. We've never been able to borrow more than $1 million during the last 10 years. And it's quite difficult to raise equity for a private company internationally during the last year or two. And so bringing on Simon Dewhurst has essentially added, you could say, a lot of international financial experience to our organization. And it has allowed me to concentrate specifically on operating the company rather than worrying about financing the company. And I think that you could say he has a lot of experience in listing companies in the Asia Pacific region, but also on the NASDAQ in the United States, and he has an excellent track record. So For us, it's very helpful. It smooths our way to the public market offering, and opens up a whole new world of potential investors to us that we didn't have before. So very happy to have him on board.
You've been one of, if not the most successful expat entrepreneur in Mongolia. You've been on the ground for over a decade now. What do you see ahead for Mongolia as a whole, and UB in particular? And give us your 12 to 18 months of oversight, please.
Mm-hmm. Well, it certainly has been a very exciting decade, the last 10 years, and we're very much looking forward to the future growth of Mongolia. What I see is similar to what we saw in a lot of Asian nations during the 70s and the 80s, is simply strong growth ahead. There will be issues with inflation. There's certainly growing pains in terms of logistics and bottlenecks here in the capital city of Ulaanbaatar. But I'm hopeful that the capital markets, especially the Mongolian Stock Exchange, is going to function in the very near term. And I'm looking forward to overall corporate profits in Mongolia growing. And if you look at the top 100 companies in Mongolia right now, they're all growing fairly well, some of them better than others. And there's not so many companies yet that are at the $100 million income mark. But it seems like everybody's marching forward. So what we can see and what we look forward to is a vibrant Mongolian stock exchange, and many more of the mining opportunities actually being explored and the minerals coming out of the ground, and very hopefully the processing of those minerals inside of Mongolia for export to its main consumers. In addition to that, I see Mongolian companies being able to tap the international financial markets through bond issuances, listings on overseas stock exchanges. And in particular with Ulaanbaatar, I'm hopeful that the suburbs are going to start to develop, and over time the low-cost housing program is going to be successful. And a lot of the people from the Dair districts are going to be able to move into low-cost housing, and that this should reduce the pollution to a large extent. Yeah.
Finally, you're a bit of a pioneer. Tell us what's the next frontier, and where does Lee Cashel is heading to?
Well, I think there's a lot of interesting new markets around the world. A lot of people are talking about Myanmar. I myself remain very interested in minerals resources such as iron ore. So the recently discovered Baffin Bay iron ore is very interesting and exciting. So I would say looking up to the northern part of planet Earth, around the North Pole, I think there's a lot of untapped mineral resources up there. But I also have to be realistic, because we no longer have a small company. It's quite a sizable company. And Mongolia is a pretty good place to invest, so maybe I don't need to look for any more frontier markets. I can just stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for taking your time and speaking with us.
And thank you as well. Thank you.